Don't forget folks, before we go any further, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, like the video and all that jibber jabber, and thank you very much for supporting Invincible Asia.
Huh? Hey, what is this?
I'm CID. Follow that brown car in front of us.
In 1989, Cory Yuen Kwai's femme-fatale action thriller tells the story of Inspector Mina, who marries into the Hung family, to the only son of a group of close-knit sisters who are all members of the police force and guided by a very strong-minded mother. While the Hung sisters give Mina a tough time and refuse to accept her as one of her own, a chain of unfortunate events involving a gang of Vietnamese terrorists forces them to put their differences aside and fight together for justice, honour and revenge. It's only fair to say that She Shoots Straight, aka Lethal Lady, is one of the director's finest moments, as well as one of the most respected and better movies of the girls with guns subgenre of Hong Kong cinema. Produced by the great Sammo Hung, who had just come off a very busy period with productions such as Dragons Forever, Painted Faces and Pedicab Driver, the film also sees him cameo throughout, although he reserves any of his impressive hard-hitting martial arts skills for a quick scuffle towards the end. But of course, this was a film that was designed to highlight the skills and talents of its female cast, and more importantly, that of Joyce Godenzi, the winner of the Miss Hong Kong pageant in 1984. Although she had appeared in a few titles beforehand, Joyce made her action debut in the epic Eastern Condors, when Sammo cast her as the kick-ass female gorilla. From there, she would impress in films such as She Shoots Straight, Slickers vs. Killers, The Raid, Spooky Spooky and Paper Marriage, as well as the wonderful License to Steal, which would see her get a rematch with Filipino powerhouse Agnes Aurelio, her toughest nemesis here in She Shoots Straight. While she very quickly proved herself to be one of Hong Kong cinema's finest action actresses, Godenzi's career would ultimately be short-lived when she retired from the industry to become the wife of the portly film legend. Unlike most of Cory Yuen Kwai's other action films, She Shoots Straight keeps its comedy at a minimum, allowing for the film's storyline to stay focused and deliver on the serious drama and action. This is backed with its strong cast, who star alongside Joyce Godenzi, such as Tony Leung Ka-fai, starring as the only male member of the Hung family and her love interest, as well as the wonderful Carina Lau as his feisty sister and eldest female of the Hung siblings. Ironically, the very same year this film went into production, Lau would begin her relationship with Tony Leung Chi-wai after working on Run for Your Wife, with the pair eventually marrying almost 20 years later in 2008. The trio of stars are joined by a wonderful cast such as the amazing Sandra Ng, Angie Leung and Sarah Lee as the other Hung sisters, with prolific actress Tan Pak-wan as their mother. While the latter would have an impressive 285 credits to her name, with She Shoots Straight being one of her last, it would be the incredible Helena Law Lan, who here plays her loyal maid, that has the most impressive filmography overall, with almost 500 titles to her name and is still going strong today, over 90 years of age. But as impressive as the good guys of She Shoots Straight are, the producers must also be applauded for who they cast in the bad corner that proved to deliver some equally entertaining performances, led by the fantastic Yuen Wah, a Sammo Hung regular and longtime brother of both Hung and Yuen Kwai, who has wowed audiences with his roles in films such as Eastern Condors, Dragons Forever, Kung Fu Hustle and many more. Here, as the leader of the Vietnamese gang, Wang gives yet another powerful and menacing performance, proving to be an intimidating villain and delivers some wild stunts that are sure to have audiences cringing. He is assisted by the great Chung Fat, Wan Fat, Su Tak Fu, Chung Wing Chun and Lam Kai Wing, along with the aforementioned Agnes Aurelio, who makes her action film debut here and almost steals the show as the brutal female fighter. With much of the Hong Kong public frowning upon Godenzi's relationship with Sammo Hung at the time, ironically with art imitating life, it was unfortunate that a great film such as She Shoots Straight would fail to light up the box office, even with the strong cast and production team that had their names behind it. After all, Cory Yuen Kwai had already delivered two of the genre's most highly regarded femme-fatale titles in Yes Madam and Righting Wrongs. but I've often wondered just how different things may have been had She Shoot Straight been conceived as a sequel to the latter, with Cynthia Rothrock cast instead of Miss Godenzi, which may have helped its box office appeal somewhat and gained a little more attention in the West, long before its recently restored and hugely impressive Blu-ray release. Regardless, Joyce Godenzi still does an incredible job and definitely delivers on the action front. Interestingly enough, She Shoot Straight had previously been seen as the third chapter of the Inspector Wears Skirt series, although it's a much more serious affair than those popular Golden Harvest action comedies and has no real link to them apart from some cast and crew members here and there. Handled by a team of action movie veterans including Yuen Kwai himself, Sammo Hung, Yuen Tak and Mang Hoi, She Shoot Straight offers the perfect amount of incredible action sequences, from its opening kidnapping that sees a brutal battle turn into an explosive motorcycle chase with Joyce hanging from the roof of a car, to the fast-paced fashion show shootout delivered in night vision red as seen through the eyes of the Vietnamese gang. Joyce and Carina's survival of an attack that sees Tony Leung's brutal demise is highly memorable, with both ladies getting to showcase some of their finest action moments in the brutal showdown on the ship, which will help get the adrenaline going before Joyce faces off against Agnes in a grand finale that equals that of anything previously delivered by Michelle Yeoh, Moon Lee, Yukari Oshima and others. With some strong emotional performances, brutal action and slick direction, She Shoot Straight is perhaps one of the most underrated titles from Hong Kong cinema's golden years, and quite possibly Joyce Godenzi's finest hour in her unfortunately short career as an action actress.